guys, welcome back to Horton's Flower Farm. So today I'm going to be discussing with you the 10 tips for new flower farmers. Let's get started. Tip number 1, don't start your seeds too early. Okay guys, so I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't start your seeds too early. We're all excited in the winter, it's been very cold and we want to start those seeds and we want to see some greenery. But it's not always the best thing because what happens is your seedlings are going to get root bound and that's not good for transplanting. So you really need to wait until it says on the seed packet when to start those seeds. So be patient, otherwise you're not going to have healthy seedlings. Okay guys, so number 2 on my list is don't overbuy on your seedlings. Okay guys, so if you're like me, you love buying seedlings, and you have an addiction and you can't stop yourself, but you don't buy seeds as you think you do. You're wasting money on seeds, trust me. For whatever seedlings you need, you probably only need 20% more for backup seedlings. So you don't need to buy thousands and thousands of seedlings because again, you have to space these seedlings out, most of them 9 to 12 inches. So stop overbuying on seeds. So number 3 of my tips is weed fabric is worth it. Okay guys, so my tip is about weed fabric and how it is definitely worth it. As you can see here, it's pretty weed free, but that's kind of a lie. I did have to weed this a little bit, but if I didn't have the weed fabric, I would have to be weeding this several times throughout the season. And I probably weeded this 2 times and I was ahead of it. So this weed fabric is a great weed fabric. We put it down with staples. You definitely need weed fabric. It will help you throughout the season. Number 4 on my list for tips for new flower farmers is drip tape is best. As you can see, I've laid the drip tape underneath my landscape fabric. If you overhead water, you're going to be creating some problems for your flowers. They're going to get mildew and other things and diseases quicker because the flowers shouldn't be overhead watering. And I know sometimes that's what you have to do. And if you have to do that, that's fine, but it is best to have the drip tape down on your flowers. Number 5 on my list for tips for new flower farmers is lower your expectations. Okay guys, so we all have these unrealistic expectations of what our flower farm is going to look like. Everything is going to grow perfectly. We're going to have perfect germination. The transplanting, everything is going to survive, but that's not true. You're going to lose a lot of your crop. Something's going to happen, disease is going to happen, and there'll be problems. You have to know that. Otherwise, you are going to be very disappointed as a flower farmer. So it is okay to fail. I lost all of my marigolds this year and they were absolutely gorgeous. That's okay. I have other things to support them. So don't worry, don't stress too much. This is a learning process and even the best farmers are still failing. So guys, lower your expectations. Number 6 on my list is be proactive about diseases. Okay guys, so what do I mean by that? Well, let me tell you. I actually visited the Cornell University Cooperative and they told me that really I should be proactively spraying for things like mildew and black spot because these things are going to happen throughout the season. So you want to prolong your crop blooming as much as you can. So you have to know that proactive and knowing what the plant needs, what's going to happen to it later on is super important. So find out about the things that you're growing, see what they're susceptible to, and make sure that you have things ready to go at the beginning of the season. I should have probably been spraying my zinnias every single week with something so that the powdery mildew would have been not so bad right now in my season. Okay guys, number 7 is social media is your friend. So before I started a flower farm, I was not even on social media for my photography business. I had no Instagram page, nothing. And people were telling me, you really need to be on social media. This is how you're going to spread the word that you even exist. So I got on social media and within the first 3 hours on social media, I had a magazine contact me and say, do you want to be in the June issue of the North Forker? And I actually thought that it was a scam because I figured how could I be contacted 3 hours into being on social media? It turns out that it was legit and I was in the June issue of the North Forker. Now that's a very rare case that something like that happened, but I've gotten 1,000 followers in the last 4 months. Everyone who's coming from the farm is coming from Facebook, Instagram, social media influencers that have spread the word. So it is super important to be on there. People are looking, you have beautiful pictures to put on there. So definitely start yourself an Instagram account at least and spread the word, and social media is definitely important. So number 8 on my list is get your soil tested. Okay guys, it's really important to get your soil tested because the soil might be missing a key component, the pH levels might be off, and you need to know that. You might have to put down lime, and the flowers are not going to grow as abundantly and beautiful if you're missing something in your soil. So definitely get your soil tested. There's places that will send it away, some places will test it free. Find out in your community who does soil testing and get that soil tested. Okay guys, so number 9 on my list of tips for new flower farmers is get yourself a really good fertilizer. Okay, so why is a fertilizer important? Now, fertilizers are important because you're growing on this large scale. They need a lot of nutrients in the soil. So what happens is if you don't use a good fertilizer, I'm going to tell you, I grew amaranth the last 2 years using the same fertilizer, and my amaranth did not grow that tall. They grew about to here. Amaranth are supposed to be very large plants, and my amaranth were short. So I asked a farmer, a local farmer, about a fertilizer, and he told me that the fertilizer that I'm using is not good, and I should be using a 20-10-20 fertilizer. What this will do, he said, is it will make your flowers just huge, abundant, full. So really research the type of fertilizer that works best for cut flowers. Again, 20-10-20 is a fertilizer he recommended for me, so maybe that's something that you guys need to look into also. Okay, so last one, number 10 on my list of tips is start your seedlings in larger trays for the larger flowers. So a lot of my seedlings I started in trays that were 200 trays. Now the problem with 200 trays is you're going to have to sometimes move those seedlings up to bigger trays, especially if you start too early, which is why I said don't start too early. So for example, the cosmos here, I actually didn't start them in 200 tray packs. I started them in the 78s. And why did I do that? Because you don't want to be wasting your time transplanting thousands and thousands of seedlings into bigger cell packs. Start your bigger flowers, zinnias, cosmos, marigolds in bigger trays, probably 50s. Save yourself a lot of work. So those were my tips, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, and comment to me if I missed any tips that you think new flower farmers should have.